Welcome to our first workshop, which is about creating courses with ease, where we're going to talk about how to design an online curriculum in half a day, even if it's your first time doing it. So, in this workshop, we're going to cover three things. The first one is how to discover the easiest and fastest path to adding a revenue stream in your business using digital courses. The second, we're going to go over the different fundamentals and learning principles that will actually make your course more effective in terms of producing student success. Finally, I'm going to walk you through my 4-day course creation system, which you can always use as a guide whenever you create online courses. Let's get started. The idea of writing the content or even producing the videos seem too consuming or stressful for you. Or maybe you've said no to a lot of potential clients because they couldn't afford your services. And you know you need to have a more affordable product. It's just that you don't have the time or the energy to actually do it. Or maybe you're being asked a lot about your expertise. However, you don't know how to monetize that at scale. If any of these actually represents you or your situation right now, you are in the right freaking place because we're going to cover how we can actually address those things. Okay. Here's actually one of the biggest concepts that I'm so like a big fan of. And it's what I call the profit maximizers. Retention, referral, and repeat business. So, retention, your students do not cancel and ask for refunds. Referral, they promote your business for free, word of mouth. And then repeat business, they do business with you again, meaning they buy from you again. The things that I'm going to walk you through today will actually support, and they're all in alignment of making sure that we maximize all of these profit levers. All right. So let's go over the three different topics that you're going to learn in this workshop. The first one is the easiest and fastest path to adding a digital course revenue stream in your business. So, digital courses aren't just used to generate front end sales, which a lot of people think. That's the common misconception about digital courses, that they're just revenue drivers, right? And they're not. They're great as revenue drivers, but they can be used in multiple different ways to grow and scale a business. And I'm going to show you how today. So these are the top 3 ways to leverage online courses in your business, right? The first one is to add it as a new income stream. Second is to generate leads for your higher ticket offers. And then finally is to onboard and train new and existing team members. And let's go over each of these 3. So when it comes to adding courses as a new income stream, what's going to happen is that you are going to use the course as a downsell to your higher ticket offer by creating a DIY, do it yourself or self-paced mini version of your high ticket program. You have this core offer, whether it's a service or a product, whether it's a coaching program, a done for you service, or a do it with you program. And what's going to happen is that in order to add courses as a source of new revenue in your business, what you're going to do is use the course as a self-paced online training program. It's a mini version of your core offer, and that serves as your downsell. So the second way to leverage online courses in your business is to use it to generate leads for your high ticket offer. So remember that core offer that you have. If that is your core offer, then what you're going to do is create a preparatory or introductory course that's going to help your clients, your students, to be equipped with the necessary knowledge or skills that they need to be qualified to your core offer. So let me give you an example here. So say, for instance, your core offer is about how to generate $10,000 every month in your coaching business, right? It's a $1,500 program. If you're going to add it as a new income stream, now the downsell version, what you're going to do is you're going to create a mini version of that program. So it's still going to be the same topic. It's about how to generate 10K monthly in your business. It's just that instead of having access to you in your higher ticket offer, that's your core program, now you're making a DIY or a self-paced online course. So they're not getting any support or coaching and feedback from you. It's a do it yourself. So if they cannot afford your $1,500 program, then you can offer your course. So now it's generating a new income stream in the business because you're maximizing the leads that you're getting. Now, if we're going to use it to generate leads for your high ticket offer, so remember, if you're following the example, you have your core offer, which is the $1,500 coaching program. It's about how to generate 10K in your coaching business every single month. Now, for this second lever, you're creating an introductory or preparatory course so that they're more qualified. Say the main qualifier or the main requirement that you have in order to accept someone to work with you in that core offer is for them to have an existing coaching business, because that's what you're going to teach, how to generate 10K in the business. So they should have a freaking business, right? And so what's going to happen is that in your introductory program, then the topic is going to be different. It's not going to be about how to generate 10K. It's going to be about how to start a business, so that once they complete that preparatory course, now they're ready, they're qualified to actually work with you in that higher capacity. So that's the main difference between these two. The first one is that if you're going to leverage online course in your business as an additional new income stream, you're actually creating a mini version. It's around the same topic. It's just that in terms of the access, they don't have that high level access that they're getting with you on a higher ticket program. You're just building a self-paced online course that they can go through on their own. But in the second lever, you're creating a course on a totally different topic. And that topic, it's solving a problem, but then it also creates a problem. Once they finish that preparatory course, it opens a new problem, which then your core offer is going to solve. So in the example that we have earlier, remember your core offer is about how to generate 10K in your business, right? Every month. And then your preparatory course is about how to start a business. And so your clients will go through that preparatory course, how to start a coaching business. Once they have completed that, the next problem is, how can I generate income every freaking month? And so that is the next problem after completing your preparatory course. And that problem will be solved by your higher ticket program. That's the difference between the first and the second lever. Now, the last one is about, this is a little bit different than the first two, because the first two is really direct drivers of revenue. This one has an indirect impact on your revenue, on your overall revenue. So the third one is using courses to actually train and onboard your new team members. You can use your course as a library of how-to videos or even courses. This is something that I've done for my own business. I created a course around the tasks and the projects that I usually delegate to my VA. And so I have an online course about Instagram engagement because that's what she does. That's what I delegated to her. It saves me time. And the time that I get back, I can actually spend on more revenue generating activities. So it doesn't directly drive revenue, but because you're getting your time back, now you have more time to actually do the revenue generating task. And so that is how the third lever that you can use your online courses for. I promise you, in this first topic, I told you that we're going to go over the fastest and easiest path for you to add revenue stream using online courses. And as you probably noticed on the slide, it shows that the first lever, which is adding as a new income stream, is the easiest and fastest path. Talk about why. Remember, for the first lever, adding as a new income stream, what you're doing is that you're creating a DIY, self-paced version of your core offer. It talks about the same freaking topic, meaning you already have resources. You have something to start with. You have the content ready. All you have to do is convert your higher ticket program into a self-paced course, into a mini version DIY course. You already have the content, you already have the recordings and all of that good stuff. You already have the workbooks, all of the learning aids that you have. You just have to package that into the mini version. Cool? Let's go over the second topic for this workshop, which is about the fundamentals of creating a digital course that would actually help you set your students up for success. By the way, the things that I'm going to cover in this particular topic are things that aren't really being talked about in the course creation industry. Here's another misconception about online courses. A lot of people think that the value of a course is determined by the amount of content it has. That's why in sales pages, you've probably noticed people are putting more than 25 hours of video content, 100 plus videos, or over 50 workbooks, right? So they're capitalizing or reinforcing, emphasizing the amount of content in the course when in reality, it doesn't freaking matter. Because let me ask you this, over 100 freaking hours of video content, that's a lot of work, right? And I'm not sure if you are aware, but the amount of or the completion rate, the standard average completion rate in online courses is about 3%. Adding more content doesn't necessarily mean that the course is going to be valuable, because at the end of the day, it really is just about the results. Does the course deliver on the results it has promised? So in terms of setting students up for success, we're going to go over these course creation fundamentals. So the first one is the 70-20-10 learning model. The second is the micro learning. Third is gamification, which you've probably heard about a lot. The fourth one is active learning. And then finally, adult learning. So let's go over to the 70-20-10. This is actually one of my favorite learning models. So with the 70-20-10, it says that 70% of people learn from experience, meaning the actually doing the thing. That's how they learn. Okay. 20% learn from social interactions, meaning discussions, engagements with their peers, collaboration, right? Discussion boards. That's form of social interactions. And then the last 10%, they learn through structured trainings, meaning videos and self-paced courses and lectures, right? So that's the 70-20-10 model. Now, the next one is micro learning. So from the word itself, micro and then learning. So this means that you're creating training content in quick bite-sized formats. That's micro learning. The third one is gamification, which is something that a lot of people are getting more and more familiar with, just because a lot of people are into gaming now, but also it's one of the most popular learning models out there, gamification. So meaning we are applying game elements or mechanics in learning. So the different quests or missions, the rewards, leaderboards, badges, all of those good stuff that you can usually find in online games. We're incorporating the same elements and applying it in online learning. The next one is active learning. So active learning is the opposite of passive learning. Passive learning is the students just passively consuming content. They're in consumption mode. That's passive learning. Active learning, on the other hand, is where they interact and where they execute. So they're part of the learning process. They're doing something, and that's how they learn. And then lastly is adult learning. One of the principles is actually getting the students involved in the learning process. You're going to get their buy-in, and they're more motivated and driven to take action if they're part of the learning process. And also if they know why they need to do it. So that's adult learning. Now, At this point, I want to go over my 40 course creation system so that you have a cheat sheet in terms of creating your first or next digital course. And the reason why I want to talk about this is that a lot of people always say, why would I create another course on this topic? It already has a lot of courses out there, right? So then it begs the question, in a world of big competition, how do you actually stand out? And the best way to do that is to build better courses than your competition. Build better courses than your competition. Because guess what? There's a lot of crappy courses out there. And so if you build better courses than your competition, guess what? You will increase retention, increase referrals, and also repeat sales. That's just like a byproduct because your product or your course is so damn good that people actually loves it. And you can do that by following my 40 course creation system. So 40 is an acronym for diagnose, design, develop, and deliver, which are the major phases in creating your course. Let's go over the diagnose part. So this is also one of the things that I always say. Course creation is so like marketing because in marketing, you always want to make sure that you're very clear on your ideal client avatar, like who exactly it is that you're targeting, so that you can create an offer that actually resonates with them, so that you're guided on your messaging, your positioning, your overall marketing. It's the same thing for online courses. You also want to have clearer idea of who your ideal students are, right? The problems that you're actually solving for them, that your course is actually solving for them. And then, most importantly, validate if it's actually something that they want. The design piece is where we start creating a structure around the course that you want to build. So think about this as a blueprint that architects create. So, when you're building a house, right? When you're building a house or a building, whatever the case may be, the client or the architects would have to assess, right? They would assess the location and also look at your goals, look at your needs and stuff like that. And then what he does is he maps out a blueprint so that when engineers and home builders and construction workers start working on the house or building the house, they know exactly how to do it, right? Because they already have a blueprint on how the house should be built. It's the same thing when you're doing the design phase. You're also mapping out a blueprint so that when you move on to the actual development of the content, you know what content to create, what content to record, because you've already mapped out the blueprint, the roadmap. So that is the goal for the design phase. Okay. Now let's take a look at the third phase, which is development. Development is the phase where you start getting the course done. This is where you actually start developing the content. And when I say content, it I'm referring to all of the content in your course. So whether it's a video lesson, text-based lessons, audio scripts, learning aids like workbooks, checklists, PDF downloadables, all of those good stuff. This is the phase where you're going to build all of them. All right. That's the develop phase. And then finally, you have the delivery. So delivery is basically the methodology that you're going to use to deliver your training. And it also includes setting up your online school, your online classroom. And the reason why it's called deliver is because that's actually how you're going to deliver or present your course content. All right, guys. Thanks so much for watching and learning with me. I hope this was helpful.